Welcome back to our DNA episode 8. I'm Brandon Duplessis. We have the great Philip Price and always David Medina. How you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Awesome.
Yes. David's birthday month we were just talking about.
Oh yeah, lots going on. Lots going on. I'm going on a trip to San Diego for my birthday itself, but I also have a lot of events going on with my clients and myself. I have 2 events with my brand, and I'm super excited for it because the last open mic we did had 60 people, and this next one I'm really trying to shoot for 100. Like I'm just trying to boost that up, you know.
Where's the open mic at?
It's at the same location you spoke at, actually, West Hills Guitar Merchant.
There it is.
Yep.
When's your event? Give it a little.
It's on December 13th. It's going to be an open mic from 7 to 10 p.m. So a question for you guys. This is a personal question so we can get the conversation flowing. So let's go back to kind of what we were talking about in the last episode. We know that I have a promotion and I've just been killing it, you know. So my commission rates are going to go up, but I also have been hearing a lot of investment opportunities from different people, different, you know, ways of doing it. I know you guys talked about CDs, which I haven't had too much time to look up, but I did kind of look up on my own. But I'm also getting a lot of chatter from Bitcoin and stocks. And I know we've talked about this, Brandon, that it's just so unreliable because things are going to go down at some point. So what would you guys recommend as men who are successful and have invested in your own ways?
I would say anything that's pretty, right now, starting out, you don't want to put it in anything that's risky.
Yeah.
Safe. You want to be the tortoise. You want to just go safe, inch down the road, and then jump in if you want to learn about stocks and bonds and all that kind of fun stuff. But you got to get some knowledge about that stuff to really jump in there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I would do. I would, you know, the tortoise always beats the hare.
Yeah.
They told you that story as a kid, and you thought, "Oh, it's too slow. I want to do fast." Well, the bigger the risk, it might be more rewarding. But the bigger the risk, it might be a little bit more rewarding. But you can also lose it as quick as you gained it.
Yeah.
True.
That's the challenge.
And those losses hurt, man.
They
Like,
hurt.
Yeah.
They hurt. You will never forget those losses, man. I was trading crypto. I was doing really well with it. And my strategy was working. And then same thing. I just heard more different ways to do it. And I'm like, okay, let me start leveraging it. Let me start doing some. And I put money into it and I was doing well. And I just made one mistake and it was gone. Like,
well, a friend of ours of the family, same thing. You know, when she got in real early, she was killing it. She was up to like $1 million.
Ooh.
Wow.
But she stayed in. She didn't pull out.
That's what
She
happened.
didn't take no money out. Because, you know, it's stocks and bonds and crypto and all that stuff can be like the casino.
Yeah.
You get to the casino, you start winning. You think now I'm on the roll. I'm gonna break the Caesar's Palace tonight. I'm gonna make so much money.
Yeah.
And they know if they keep you there, and that's why they'll bring you a drink and what do you need? Because they know the house is gonna win if you stay there.
As long as you stay, if you don't walk away from the table.
If you don't walk away from the table, the times I have won in Vegas, I got up from the table. I said, I'm done for the night, even though I was winning, but I wanted to be ahead. And that's a hard thing to do when you're in those big, beautiful buildings and
you're having fun.
You never think it's going to end. That's the problem. You never think it's going to end. It don't even enter your brain. You know, you be up 10 grand and you go, oh, I'm going to get this to 30, 40,000 tonight. Next thing you know, they start swiping the chips. Then the pile gets real small. Trust me, I've been there. And you go, I was up 10 grand. I walked away with $500.
Yeah.
$500.
Yeah. So kind of like what Philip's saying is if you are going to do something that's maybe a little more risk on your money, have a real solid plan and stick to it. So like, for example, at Vegas, if I start with $1,000 and I get to 2,000, I just walk away. I'm like, all right, I'm good. I doubled my money. I'm just going to walk away. or I
Yeah.
put my 1,000 on the side and then I
And
only
hide
bet.
it from yourself.
Exactly. I hide it from myself and then I only bet with the money I won. That way, no matter what, I'm going to walk away as a winner. So it's like
Yeah.
you have to be real disciplined on your strategy. So if you do go into Bitcoin or you go into other investments, you have a strategy where you're taking
Yeah.
out and you're watching it. And that's
But
where it can get a little. Go ahead.
would you be scared to jump in now when it's so high?
I was going to
It's
say
so
that.
up there. It's like 90 some thousand
Hmm.
for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man.
It's near a high point, and that's why last time when you brought it up, David, we were talking about maybe something a little more solid right now because
Yeah.
you want to buy a property, right? You want to do
Yeah.
something like that. So you're looking in the next 24 months, maybe.
Yeah.
Now, if we were talking and Bitcoin just went down from 90,000 down to 30, that's a different story. Maybe
Yeah.
now you can buy some Bitcoin, wait 6 months to 12 months and see what happens. But since it is at an all-time high, the stock market's at an all-time high, this is when there's not much room for upside, and great room for downside.
Yeah.
So,
And you know that the last one in, first one out.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're the last one in, if your buy rate, like say if you had Apple stock and you bought it years ago at $40 a share, $50 a share, now it's at $150 a share. Well, sometimes people leverage and jump in and buy more, but they average out what their cost for all
Hmm.
of their stocks are in
All
Apple.
right.
And then that's how they play that game. But to jump in like right now, put $5,000 or $10,000 in the Apple and only buy a few stocks, it ain't gonna leave you a whole lot of rewards. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You'll get some, but some of your money you might make a little bit. But I think I would go with solid, simple things until we see what this first year looks like with the new president.
Yeah.
Right.
I can only tell you from my mistakes.
Yeah.
I made a lot of money, but I took big risks, and that's how you get your head chopped off in the game of high finance.
Yeah.
You know, and I know friends of mine that made the same kind of money, but they took safe. You know,
Yeah.
buying bonds, buying um, stuff that it ain't gonna get you before 5, 6%,
Yeah.
but
But
they
it ain't
got to
taking
keep
huge
their
risk.
money. They got to keep
Yeah.
their
Of course.
money. So
So.
I would go conservative for this first year till we see where the economy goes, because they're telling us there's going to be a housing crash again, like
Mhm.
'08. There's so much new inventory standing still right now. You, they're throwing some of the biggest. Horton is one of the biggest builders, and they said nationwide they got houses sitting everywhere,
Mhm.
and they're throwing money at it to try to move them. So I don't think I would sit on your hands for a minute. Don't let the money burn a hole in you, because put it in a CD that maybe only pays 3%.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. I mean,
There's crypto type of CDs right now where you can
Really.
get 4 to 6% or even more.
Mhm.
So do a little research on that too. Which, it'd probably help if I was a little more on top of the game right now. I've been paying for way other
I
stuff.
don't know crypto. I don't know
Yeah,
crypto.
but I was a year and a half, 2 years ago, I was pretty heavy into crypto, NFT.
Yeah.
Like I was doing a lot of that stuff. And I was trading and I was buying and selling. And
Gotcha.
the most successful I was like selling and trading crypto was buying it, buy it at 90,000, it goes
Yeah.
up to 95 and I would sell it.
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
And then I wait till it go down to 80 or 85 or 90 again, and then
To
I'd
buy it
buy
again.
some more, and then
Yeah.
it'd go back to 92 and I'd sell it. Right. So,
Yeah.
and it helps if you find someone that you can follow online Right now, that's probably not us.
I don't
But
know, man. There's so many
Yeah.
scams out there.
well,
It's
that's why you
weird.
follow, you track someone that you follow. Like I found a few good people, and I'll go back into my archives and find them again. But their information was simple. It wasn't over the top, and it was
Yeah.
real general. So it was kind of like, hey, here's where the high points are. Here's where the low points are. This is where you may want to sell. This is maybe where you want to buy. And there was
Gotcha.
not, it wasn't really complicated. It was pretty simple, and they were consistent. So you got
Yeah.
to, that's why Phil says sit on your hands for a little bit, because
Yeah.
you want to do your research. You want to see who you follow that's correct. You want to figure out your strategy. So definitely
Mhm.
don't rush into anything, especially because your plan is to buy a property in a year or two, right?
Well,
Yeah.
you want to wait at least a year before you even buy a property until the market see where. Because if it's another fallout like '08,
Mhm.
the market has to correct itself. There's
Yeah.
going to be people taking hits. There's going to be fire sale for stuff that's out there. Now, that's when you'd want to buy. When you can
Of
buy
course.
some of this stuff that they start foreclosing on. That'd be the ideal time to do it.
Yeah.
So the
Mhm.
reason I bring this up is because now that I'm going to be increasing my savings budget, let's say for now, for example, I put, I don't know, hypothetically like 2,000 a month. So
Right.
maybe like 1,500 towards the house, saving in a safety thing, but I can play around with maybe 500 and throw in a few hundred to crypto, a few hundred to maybe some like stocks or an IRA or something. Because I have been talking to a financial advisor, and they're saying, I just recently got into this, how it would be good to get a high yield savings account as well.
Right.
So I know there's one that does like 4% return, I believe, and that's through what's the one app? Um, it's SoFi by SoFi. So
Oh,
SoFi
Yeah.
has
okay.
like a 4.0 high yield savings thing, and he basically he sent me like a sum of it, and like if you have like let's say 50,000 in there, like your returns will be I don't know like 2,000 right there, or like 100,000 you get like 4 grand, a year,
That's
which is
along the
pretty
same
high,
lines of
but
what we're talking about. You know,
Right.
that's
yeah.
where it's a solid 4%
Hmm.
guaranteed. You know, I don't know how long you have to
Mutual
consider,
bonds. Mhm.
but
Hmm.
that's now there's different types of things other than just say CDs, but
Yeah.
something that has a yield, and that's the same thing with the crypto. Like there's
Hmm.
things on Ethereum or Bitcoin where you just put it in for 6 months and you're going to get your certain percentage
Hmm.
back. So
Yeah.
something along those same lines. Now, if you do take your 500 though and you just to buy Bitcoin, buying Bitcoin versus buying it and putting it into like a yield or something that returns a guaranteed 4%, those are two
Hmm.
different things, right?
I meant more like XRP because right now XRP is huge with Elon Musk, and he's like going to start using it to sell his own products. So
Right.
that's what happened when they did that with what was it, that meme coin? I think it was Dogecoin or one of the meme coins. It blew
Yes.
up because
Shiba
Elon
coin.
Musk was using it to actually use it for his own things. Like oh, it was Ethereum too. Ethereum blew up because he was using it to sell Cybertruck or Cyber Tesla vehicles in general.
Yeah, cyber.
And now that he's associated with XRP, the same thing's going to happen. It's already tripled. Like all my coworkers who bought XRP are talking about how they've already tripled their money or like added like 10 times what they had before. And right now, still a good time to buy something like XRP.
These
But
conversations cycle. Like for
yeah.
example, Elon Musk was involved with this years ago too, and the same
Hmm.
conversation was happening. XRP did go up from 40
Hmm.
cents up to $2, and it went right back down to 40 cents again or 30
True.
cents.
But those
So
guys jump in and they gain all the rewards and then they pull out.
That's true.
They
That is true.
set you up because they know they have so much influence.
So much
They have
leverage on that.
influence, which you and I
Yeah.
don't have. We can say, if I'm Elon Musk, I can say, hey, you guys go buy this, this, and this. I jump in on the thing, but then as
That's
soon as
true.
it gets up to $2 share, I'm bought it for 40 cents. That's how the
yeah,
rich get richer.
Yeah.
and that's why we're cautioning you on it, because we're the older
Gotcha.
school fools here that have dealt with that and heard it and seen it, and
Yeah.
I've already seen it with crypto too because I've dealt with that. But again, all of it's okay if you have a plan. So if you
Hmm.
bought some XRP at a dollar something and you plan on selling it if it goes up 10% and then sitting,
Yeah.
as long as you're watching it and you're not just sitting on it doing nothing, that's where it gets dangerous.
Gotcha.
I got a friend that I can introduce you to, David, and he's a young guy, and that's how he's a day trader, though. And maybe he can give you some insight. His name is Brent. He lives in Houston. And I know he can maybe give you some insight because you gotta
I'd appreciate
meet
that.
somebody that ain't trying to make money off of you, that maybe is already in the market, that can maybe tell you some of the things, the strategy they're using, and you can look and see for a while if it's making sense. Because I gotta tell you guys, do you know what it feels like to lose $18 million?
No.
When I filed BK, that's the number, 18.8. When they introduced my wife and I for the bankruptcy court, and they said, well, we have Karen so-and-so from the Justice Department. I went, whoa, what? And so I said, can we go outside? My lawyer and I said, well, why is the Justice Department here? He says, Phil, you're the biggest case I've ever had. They want to see if this stuff is real, or is this some kind of con game that you put together or something. So they just asked me some questions, but I've never got over that, guys. When they repoed my airplane and seeing it taking off with the pilot and then my boat.
Someone else flying your plane off. Yeah.
And they repo it just like a car, man. They come and get it.
I think, I don't know what it's like to lose 18 mil, but I think I said it earlier. You still remember, and those losses all hurt, man. Like my crypto loss was 20 grand overnight, and it hurt to this day. Like
it just goes up in smoke, and next thing you know, you ain't got nothing.
Just gone. And there's nothing, and it was yours. You had something, and now you have nothing, right?
Yeah.
And that hurts, man.
Yeah.
But be conservative, David. I mean, it's easy for me to say that at 72 when I was younger and I couldn't even spell the word conservative. I mean, it's funny how I try to tell my sons and my daughter from my mistakes what not to do.
Yeah.
What not to do. Don't leverage yourself as much as I did, because I leveraged. And if it would have worked, I'd have been a genius. And if it doesn't work, you're an idiot. That's how this life goes.
Go
if
big
it works, they say, oh man, that feels smart. I knew he was smart. It don't work. See, I told you that guy was an idiot. He don't know what he's talking about. Like I tell people all the time, the difference between a genius and an idiot is a line about that thick. So the first year, because you're just starting out to make money, I'm going to give you dad vibes, grandfather vibes.
All right.
Go conservative for that first year. And I say that because we got a new president coming in. We don't know what policies he's going to put in. We don't know how it's going to have an effect on the economy.
Yeah.
I will have that wait and see attitude until about November or December of next year. The market by then, you might have a clearer picture of what the market is going to look like.
Yeah.
This first year, just save.
Okay.
Just put it. I mean, it's just my personal opinion, and I wouldn't be too anxious with all the uncertainty that's out there right now.
Yeah.
And if you look on any of these sites, they're telling you they're being cautious. Even J.P. Morgan, all of them they're dialing back until they see where this thing is going.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing too, David, you mentioned how kind of like everyone's talking about it. When everybody's talking about it is when you really want to be cautious. I'm telling you, I remember with Val, this was, I think 2 years ago, Bitcoin was getting over 60,000 for the first time. And her hairdresser was talking about it. Her mom started talking about it. I'm like, okay, if these people are talking about it, now is not the time to get in. But she'll literally put $50 towards it. She just wanted to be a part of the crowd. Right. But at that time, Bitcoin then went to 50, and then it went to 40, and then it kept dropping. And that was right after she bought in because she heard everyone talking about it. So it's almost too late at that point. That's really when you want to be cautious. It's I think Warren Buffett, be greedy when everyone's afraid, and be afraid when everyone's being greedy.
That is the gospel of
Okay.
everything. When I look back at business, my most successful years in the auto industry was when everybody else was dialing back because they were afraid. They were looking at the news and they were scared to do it. I'd call
Yeah.
all my managers in and I said, now this is when we're going to go capture a bigger slice of the pie. We're going to get real aggressive when everybody else is shutting down. And we had tremendous success doing that.
Mhm.
Because when everybody else going quiet because they're scared, there's opportunities out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take that into account for sure.
Yeah, we got to see where this does settle, because it scares me about a friend of mine. Her name is Vanita. She's getting ready to build a custom home,
Mhm.
and I sent her a couple of things, and maybe David, I'll send you some too, from all these big housing developments that are telling people to be cautious, because it's
Yeah.
hurting the resale value of houses, because they're giving the new ones away with big rebates of up to $200,000 on $1 million house.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that just
Wow.
kills the resale house.
Big
So
time.
yeah, so wait till you see what the dust settles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be
Okay.
patient.
And even when you're saving that 1,500 or however much you decide to put towards, still put it in something that's going to get you your 4%. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, don't just leave it in a basic savings, because
Yeah. Of
that's
course.
And the
nothing.
best thing is to put in something that locks it up for 4 or 5 months. Because
Yeah.
whatever you put in your savings, don't touch it. Put
Yeah. Of
that
course.
to where it's untouchable.
I'll do
Whatever
a
you
little.
put in there, lock it up for a while and forget about it. Keep adding to it, but forget about it. You know,
Yep. That's the plan.
That's it. There you
because
go.
it's like Chad Ochocinco said, I like it better when it's coming in versus when it's going out.
Yep.
It's a big difference when it's coming in instead of going out.
Yeah.
Go.
So
Just
another
be
question I have
conservative.
for you guys then, would you recommend, so I read a lot of financial books. Right now I'm reading Robert Kiyosaki, his third book. It's an investor's guide to, I forget exactly what it's called, something. Um, Essentially, he talks about in this book, the way to get rich is by having a team, and the first person on your team should be like a financial advisor. So would you guys say you have experience with financial advisors or recommend that in your life?
I don't. I mean, the
Mhm.
people I know, I don't know. I don't. I didn't. I bought a lot of real estate when I had commercial and I had residential real estate. Um,
Mhm.
I had a warranty company, so I had a lot of stocks with Smith Barney. I had money with them, and we had a little bit of our money tied up into that. But I was so heavily involved in the car business where I could turn the money at 30%. So I could take $100,000 and turn it into 130,000
Yeah.
because of the profit margins I had in the cars. So a lot of my money was tied up in my business, because
Yeah.
the car business is very cash intense business, very cash intense. You
Makes
need
sense.
green money.
And I would say Philip said it before too, is we've learned from, if anything, learned from our mistakes, right? In the sense of what we've done. And I've had experience with a financial advisor. I definitely wouldn't say I found the financial advisor that I
Mhm.
wanted to work with and continue to work with. And what I would say is, just like if you go to a doctor, or if you go to any kind of advisor or lawyer or any of the above, you always want to check and like double check your resources. You want to get second opinions, and you're still the boss. So you want to make sure that whoever is your advisor is kind of following in line with what you really want. And you don't want to just walk in there with thinking you're just going to listen to what they're going to tell you, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to protect your money like you will protect it. Remember that. I don't care how. That's the only problem with going with all these investment firms and all that other stuff. And look at how many times people put millions of dollars with some of these firms and they don't treat them fair and they
Yeah.
lose money. Yeah.
So when you do
That's
when you
fair.
do your research and you find, let's say you do want to find an advisor that, now mind you, if you put your money in a CD where you're getting your 6%, 5%, whatever it may be, or a SoFi account, and you do search advisors, you want to find out what they could do for you and what it's going to cost you to do it,
Yeah.
and then do your research and check around with other advisors too, because the more advisors you kind of interview, you can start to see which ones you like, which ones you don't, which ones
Yeah.
sound like they're on the board with what you're looking for. And you'll be able to start kind of calling out the BS between the guys that are just trying to, get their quick commission versus
Yeah.
someone that. So my biggest advice, just like when people talk to me about metals, I always tell them to, like, if you're going to sell your stuff locally, call 10 different places, get 10
Yeah.
different answers, because you're going to find the best source for yourself. Even when I buy tires, I bought tires a few weeks ago, I still call around 4 or 5 different places. And it's
Yeah.
always amazing how this one place gives me everything I want, from the service, the way he speaks to me, and the price that I want.
Yeah.
So definitely, if you feel like you need an advisor because you have the money and you want to start making a plan, know what your plan is, right? Like, you want to do something within the next 2 years,
Yeah.
um, and do your research. Don't just go to the first person that you talk to.
The reason I asked this also is because the financial advisor I met with is actually somebody I met through my business. He has his own side business that's like a nonprofit that helps basically homeless people and people in danger of what is it, domestic abuse and stuff like that. So he has what I've seen a good heart, and he is somebody who is already engulfed into the community. He just so happens to be a financial advisor with a side business, kind of like what I'm doing here. I work in sales, but I also have side businesses that help me, on the side. So the reason I bring this up is because for the most part, he seems like a genuine guy that is trying to help because he sees the vision, he sees what we're trying to do as a business. But obviously, I mean, there's always something going on. Maybe he's trying to sell me something about life insurance. Now, I don't know. So I don't want to trust
Now,
anybody
life insurance
100%.
is a good one though. So
Life
now I
insurance is a good
had
one.
I
Okay.
had whole life. I did have that,
Mhm.
and that goes up in value. You can
Yeah.
borrow against it. It's that is a good good thing
Okay.
because owning a dealership, Ford Motor Company made us have whole life and stuff like that to protect in
Yeah.
the event something happened to us that our families wouldn't lose the dealership.
Right.
But yeah, life insurance is another good one.
Okay. Because
That's
that's
a
what I think he's
good.
trying to sell me on, but he hasn't officially given me the pitch yet. So I have another meeting with him this weekend, and he sounded a little salesy, but it didn't sound like he was trying to take advantage. So I'm still trying to figure him out, and I just want to make sure, I'm talking to salesman over here.
Yeah.
If that's
Well,
something
and I
even
don't
worth it,
know, and
if I
you're
want to do that.
and one, like you said, he's in your network. And
Yeah.
if you talk to a lawyer, they're going to talk to you about suing people, or if you talk to
Yeah.
doctors, they're going to talk about surgery. Like,
Of course.
you got to know, if you talk to a car salesman, what is he talking to you about, right? Buying a
Getting
car.
you a car. Yeah.
So it's almost like you always kind of have to caution yourself. You're like, okay, this guy's in this, he's involved in this stuff. So that's what he
Yeah.
talks about. That's what he's going to talk about. And that's okay. But you're also planning on buying a house in the next 2 years. You're just
Yeah.
getting your money going. So a
Same.
whole life policy, although a whole life policy is amazing and it may fit
Mhm.
into maybe that's where your other $500 a month goes to, and your 1,500 is going towards your saving. And like
Yeah.
Philip said, in a whole life policy, it does build a cash value, and
It
you can
really
later
does.
on take that cash value out. And what's nice about that is when you take that cash value out, it still sits there and gets interest as if it was there.
Right.
So in many cases, so there is benefit in having a whole life policy. Just make sure, if you do talk to them about it, you find out what your access to that money is and how soon, because typically it's like, I think you have to season it for a little bit, 2, 3,
Right.
5 years. So since your goal is to buy a house, that money might not season in time for you to want to access it. which might be fine if you're still putting your 1,500 away, plus your plan is for the 500 for a whole life policy. Then, again,
Well,
as
as
long,
young as he is, it won't cost him a lot.
yeah,
That's
now
if you can do that now. That's gonna 10 years when he's 36. That's gonna make a big difference.
exactly. So that's why I say it's not a bad idea to have something like that set up for yourself. Um, just be aware of it. You definitely probably want whole life though. You want something
You want a
that's,
whole life, yes.
yeah,
Not none of that term stuff. That's just
that's pointless. Unless you die in that time.
yeah. And then everybody else
you
is
ain't
happy,
getting
but
it.
you're not happy.
Yeah.
Whereas whole life grows in value, and you can. I mean, we were putting a lot of money into it, and we ended up with a nice little nest egg from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like what a client told me one time is him and his wife never make a decision without sitting on it for a night, or like I forget exactly how he said it, but like we don't ever make a decision without sitting on it for or praying on it first, or pretty much saying at least sleeping on it for one night before we make the decision.
Well,
And
when I first bought the Ford dealership, the guy that put me into the dealership, his name was D.M. Coleman. And he says, I'm going to teach you something that's going to make you millions. And man, I'm sitting up like a 10-year-old. What are you going to tell me, DM? He says, I'm going to give you, this is what I want you to say to your employees when they come up to you with ideas. Sounds like a great idea. Let me think about it and I'll get back to you. And
that's
let me
it.
tell you, because when you're in business or anything, if you make spontaneous decisions, be conservative when you make your decisions. Because one of the
Yeah.
things I've learned, the Japanese have a saying, measure 2 times, cut once.
Mhm.
And if you look at some of the most successful cultures, they employ that. They're not fast movers. Be methodical, but don't be sporadic. Because that saved me in many, many, many situations. Because people will come to you with what sounds like a great idea, but you got to really think it through if it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't be sold. If somebody's trying to sell you on something, that's typically not a good thing.
That's
That's
moving
true.
quick.
You're
That's moving
talking
fast.
from a car salesman that made millions off of selling cars.
Yeah.
So I'm just telling you what God loves to
From
do.
two salesmen over here.
Yeah,
Actually,
right.
yeah.
I mean, don't. But the more you know, I remember a judge told me when I was an 18-year-old kid, he says, ignorance is no excuse in the eyes of the law.
Mm,
And ignorance is something that the more you know, and you got to dig into it. Don't just think you're going to find somebody that's just going to take care of you and just you can just send your money over there.
Yeah.
The more you know, the better off you are in this life.
Yeah.
Especially now, there's more con games now than we ever had back in the day because with this internet, there's just a lot of BS.
yeah.
Yeah.
There really is.
So, and kind of like I was saying earlier, double check everything, right? You talk to this guy about his insurance policy, you say, okay, thank you. It sounds
And
like a
look
great
at
idea.
and I think you gave him some good advice. Get more than one quote from different people. Like, I'm looking for whole life. What does Edna do? What does
Whole life.
so and so do? What does this
Yeah.
place do? Because they all might have different versions
Yeah.
and the pros and cons. Tell me the pros and cons of this one.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to invest time before you invest your money.
Yes, that's a great quote. That was it. Invest time before you invest your money. That was it.
Yep.
That's it. That's the answer.
The one thing I would hope to be able to do is I made millions of dollars mistakes. There's no way I should have ended up where I am with the amount of money I touched.
Hmm.
But I was trying to get rich fast and quick. And that's a bad, bad idea. Slow and steady will always win, period.
That's right. So it's good that you're looking into all these things, David, without
Yes.
question.
That's
And it's
smart.
like,
And asking questions too. And
Yeah.
there's no dumb questions. There's no stupid questions.
not
If
at
you
all.
don't know, say, I don't know. I want to know more. You got to give, what can I read
Mhm.
about and and what can I read to enlighten me more?
Help me understand
Yep.
that better. Explain that again. Yeah, and the fact that you're asking is good because you'll do your research. You'll hear someone tell you something, and instead of just saying, "Oh, that's a great idea," and saying yes, you'll take that idea and, like Philip said, you'll now take your time to invest your time into this
Mhm.
idea and learn more about it before you make a decision. Right?
Yeah.
So
That's the
patience
plan.
is a virtue. They tell you that, and I'm sure your parents said it to you, like my parents said it to me.
Hmm.
But when you're young and your motor's running fast and you want to get there in a hurry, patience is
Yeah.
not a good virtue. But all the people I know that are tremendously successful now are very patient.
Yeah.
You
I
can't
just got.
stall them. You can't move them fast. They move slow.
Yeah.
And their philosophy is, if it's a good deal today, it'll be a good deal 2 days from now.
Tomorrow. And when someone's trying to rush you,
You
like you
can't
got
get
to.
them off that dime
Yeah,
where they're urgent to do it today. They're like, no,
Yeah.
let me think about it. I'll get back to you.
yeah. When it has to be today, it's like, hold up, no, wait, it doesn't have to be
Look at
today.
every deal in your life that you need to make a decision now. This deal ain't gonna last. That's
Hmm.
BS.
It'll be there tomorrow because they
Yep.
want your money today and they want it tomorrow. Yep,
Yeah, but if it's a con game, that's how they get you though. They
it's
put that
true.
urgency. If you look at all the con games that are out there, they play on the greed factor. They promise you more than you're gonna ever see. It, the Ponzi schemes.
Yeah.
It's crazy how many
Madoff,
people
they
fall for that.
like the one guy says, I'm kind of mad at him because he got all the Jewish rich people in the United States. They got greedy. He promised them 30% return on investment, which is
A lot,
stupid.
a lot.
They had millions and billions, and he had to leverage because he was a federal, what was he? He was head of Federal Reserve. He had all these acromens, so they're thinking Bernie knows the secret. Well, it was a Ponzi scheme. Every con game starts from greed.
Yeah.
Don't be greedy.
Okay.
Say, I'd rather make my 4 or 5. My buddy, I was up at my buddy Bill Shack's house about a month ago. He said, Phil, I sold my dealership. I got 35 mil. He says, I get 4%, 6%. He said, 6%. He says, that's good. He said, yeah, I get people telling me I could put it in this, and I can make 10, 15%. He says, that shit, they don't tell you the other side, the risk
Yeah,
part of it. He says, my 5, 6, conservative,
it
Yeah.
works.
but it works.
It
So Phil,
works.
you can live pretty good off of, you said, what is that, $1.8 million a year?
And it compounds over time too, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah, so just don't fall for the okie doke because anybody that tells you you're going to get you rich quick, run. Do not walk,
and
run.
and why we're stressing this so much is because we've learned from our own mistakes.
Yeah.
We've seen it. That's why we're repeating it over and over again and saying it because we've
Yeah.
been there and we're like, you know what? Slow and steady wins the race.
I
You
try
gotta,
to
Okay.
speak to every young person I can because, and like I try to tell my kids, I say, I've made every mistake that you guys shouldn't have to make the same. My
Yeah.
youngest son is he reminds me so much of myself, but he calls me every day and I keep trying to tell him, slow down, Tyler. Learn to deny yourself. The hardest person to deny is yourself.
so it's true.
And if you can learn to do that and live within a modest budget, you hear me, David? You're
Yeah.
young, man. The habits you learn now are going to carry you for the next 30, 40 years.
Mhm.
That's true.
I know I sound like a grandpa and I'm preaching, but
No, it's okay.
I just don't want to see anybody get caught up in the BS that I got caught up because
Yeah.
I wanted to get there too fast. And my mom tried to warn me, but she was older and she didn't know business. And I know everything. And what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, you know whose voice I hear every day?
Your
Even
mama.
though she's in heaven,
You hear that every
she was
day.
trying
Yeah.
to tell me, man. And I'm glad you asked us because we want to see you be successful, and you're just starting out on your journey, man. You're young.
Thank you.
Go slow. Don't be in a rush to get there.
Yeah. You're in a good
Would you
spot.
agree with that, Brandon?
100%. Yeah, you're in a great spot too. You don't have to rush. You don't have any kids, right? You're not married.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you could just put 2 grand away a month right now or more,
Oh,
or
that's a beautiful thing,
that's
man.
amazing.
That's a
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah,
I mean, that's like music to my ears. I mean, to be able to
yeah,
even and just do it. The
Mhm.
key is the consistency. Would you agree, Brandon?
Yeah.
100%. If you can be consistent and slow paced, right? Like you said, just consistent and slow.
Yeah.
My friends that have done that, that are even my age, have saved 10 times more money than I have.
Mhm.
Now, mind you, when you're single and no kids too, and you have that ability to not, put your money in other places like your family, and you get to
Yeah.
just build your wealth, you're in a really good position from that standpoint.
And one of the
So,
things I'll tell you, David, that I truly believe from the bottom of my heart, and I hope you hear me.
Mhm.
Find that right. If you're blessed to find the right woman,
Mhm.
the right person, you can go to where you want to go so much faster and easier when you have two people thinking versus one person. The number one thing I forgot when I became very wealthy, I thought I did it by myself. I forgot that my wife made me into the man I was.
mm,
And that's called ego, edging
Yeah.
God out.
that's right.
Ego, edging God out. But if you can find somewhere down the road somebody that you can build a life with, and that's what a lot of young people are missing now because they're making money, but they're not satisfied.
Yeah.
Do you see that, or am I just an old guy? Am I seeing things?
Well, I think that's us, a lot of us, period, right? Because we
Yeah.
make or we get to a place and we aren't satisfied, money or not, and I think that's a whole other topic, is actually feeling grateful and appreciating what you do have,
Yeah.
uh, which
You
is
know what I
hard.
love? I love Steph Curry from the Warriors, right? He's my because I'm a Warrior fan.
Yes.
They asked him, "How do you stay so grounded?" He says, "Here's how I live my life. I don't think about what I did yesterday. I don't think about what's going to happen tomorrow." He says, "I'm just right here now."
The
And he
present.
said, "It gives me, I'm present. I'm focused on right now, today." And he says, "What I've learned, it makes me enjoy life." Because if you look at his life, man, it's just so solid.
Yeah.
Because he's not rushing to get to there because he wants to be right where he's at.
Hmm.
Think about that. That's some good sound advice, man.
That's solid.
Yeah, it's deep.
Being in
And
a
it's
rush is the worst thing you can do, man.
Yeah.
I've met Leos like myself that know how to make money, but they're the conservative Leo, to where they just don't move fast. They talk slow. They do it deliberately too. It's not an accident. They have that same fire that I had, but it's a slow burn,
they contained it.
and they hide
Yeah.
it because that enthusiasm will get you every time. If you're too overly anxious and too overly excited, that's when you get had.
Okay.
Think about it. And it happens to billionaires, man. I mean, Madoff got billionaires. He didn't get guys like that had $1 million in the bank. He got people that had
Yeah.
billions.
You can get God no
Yeah.
matter how much money you have. You could have
How much
hundreds,
money? Because if you fall
thousands
for
of
the
them.
okie doke.
We're all people, and obviously I just got married, and I've been focused more on my relationship with God too, because you know
Amen.
when you're going through something and you're not being grateful and you're not being patient, you're not being all these other things, or you're trying to get something you don't have yet, it's like you're not appreciating what God's given you and what you have today and right now. And of
Yeah.
course, with getting married recently, I hope I don't misquote it, but I think it's Corinthians 13 where it goes over what love is. And the first one is love is patient.
Love is patient.
Love is patient. Like you love your money, be patient with it. You love your kids, you love your wife, be patient with it and be kind, right? Love is patient, love is kind. So just that idea of patience is first. That's like the first thing on there. Love is patient. That's important, you know. And as we're talking about the turtle wins the race, you know, and not rushing. Even when I talk to my kids, when I talk to them about girls, and you know, that was my big issue. I was always trying to party, girls, everything, you know. I was just trying to live that life. And I try to, like Philip said, I'm trying to help my kids and people around me not make the same mistakes I made. And are just lessons I had to learn that I didn't feel good about. And I wish I could have done something different looking back. But and I say, if a girl's too fast and easy, it's trouble, right? It's trouble.
Yeah.
If someone's trying to get you into an investment too quick and fast, it's probably trouble.
Oh, you can't miss this opportunity. This is a great one. You got to do it now, David. This is gonna. I mean, you're gonna be mad at yourself. Run. Do not walk. Run. You heard it from Papa P. Run. Do not walk. Run. Because that's the sales pitch. And they're selling BS. Guarantee you.
Yeah.
Guarantee you. I will bet money. And I try to tell my kids that. I said, you know, don't be, these people be talking about you're going to get 30% return, or 15%. That's all BS.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. And would you say, Philip, when you were, obviously you lived with your wife, and at one point you got into your ego, right? And I think I already know the answer because we talked about ego as edging God out. And I think being married, and I've been married twice already, and this is my third marriage and going to be my last one. But I didn't have God as a center on my relationship. So like even now, go ahead.
My mom said to me, she said, son, I really worry for you. And I go, why are you worried for me, Mom? She says, you just don't get it, do you? And I go, don't get it? What are you talking about? She says, you don't have God as your beacon to life. You don't give your family the credit. And all I hear you saying is, I, me.
Right.
If you start a sentence off, David, with the word, I did this, nobody does anything by themselves. Whether it's family, friends, your significant other, those all people play a part in your decision. And I got the me syndrome. And when I get with, even like my daughter's very smart, and sometimes she starts off with me and I go, Candace, don't do that. Your dad did that. Don't do that, me. Nobody gets there, me, by myself. I did this.
Right.
I did this.
Yeah.
But you're right. When God is the center of your life, and if you and your wife put that first, it just helps you to make better decisions, man. If you put
like you said, it's your beacon of light. Instead of it being about yourself and about her and being upset or angry towards something that you don't have or you're not getting, it puts your focus back on appreciation, gratitude, what God's plan is, not your plan, right? And I think that has helped me more over the last few years than, you know, my own doings, you know, looking at him, looking towards God, trusting in God, even in my relationship with work, you know, the blessing you have to be making an extra $2,000 a month right now, you know, God put all different people in your life and different situations and different feelings inside of you and thoughts that have helped you get to that point. Right. So I think just from my standpoint at, you know, 41 now, I know if I would have put God in the center of my thinking at an earlier age, I would have probably been wiser and more patient with my money, with my children, my wife, like all the above. So I guess that would be my other 2 cents. It's like
that would be number one on my list. You know, sometimes you wish you could start your life over. Because
Yeah.
my mom, you got to understand, just to give you a quick picture of what my mom, who she was a prayer warrior.
Oh,
You know,
that's
as a
big.
kid, things wouldn't be going right because we lived in the neighborhood. We were not rich people. She cleaned houses and she would always say, God will make a way. Well, I'm young and I'm God, how's God gonna get groceries? And how
I ain't
God's
got
gonna
time
do
to wait
this?
for God. I gotta eat today. Yeah,
But you know what? God always did make a way.
he did.
And I saw it firsthand, but I thought I was smarter than God.
Hmm.
You know, that's a big pill to swallow, to say out
Yep.
loud.
Yeah.
When Lamar Jackson won MVP in the NFL, and they says, how do you stay so grounded? He said, first of all, I didn't do anything. It's a God-given talent. And he said, if I start thinking I did this, I'll mess this whole thing up.
Right.
Yep.
So we just be patient, man. Don't, if you can save 2 grand, save 2 grand and put it in something safe for a year,
Yeah.
2 years, man. 2 years, don't be rushing to get in debt.
Yeah.
Is that not a bad statement to make?
That's a fair statement.
Amen to that.
Don't be
100%.
rushing it. Think about it. If you save 2 years, that's $48,000 you could save. And
True.
let's say you make 5% on that. Now that 45
Oh,
Not
turns
bad.
into almost 50K.
Yep. Pretty solid.
hey.
Don't be in a
Alright.
rush though, man. There ain't nothing out there. And you know what? Most people, I never understood billionaires and millionaires that lived a simple life. That didn't never compute to me. I couldn't figure out. But you know,
Hmm.
my attorney, I didn't know how wealthy his family was, but because he lived such a modest lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
But I get it now because you appreciate things if it don't take a lot to make you happy.
Yeah.
If you think things are going to make you happy, it won't. I had yachts, 7 homes, 5 commercial pieces of property. I had it all, but I didn't have peace.
I was just on vacation for 2 weeks and it was nice. I had all the food, all the drinks, all the service. I wasn't working. I just realized how happy I am just being at home and with my family, with my kids. Like I don't need all that. I didn't
Yeah.
need the party. I didn't need the beach. I didn't, yeah, it's nice. I enjoy that. When I'm there, I was present, but being gone for 2 weeks and on vacation definitely made me realize that I appreciate just the simplicity of my life. I don't
Yeah.
need to have
Amen.
more than what I do have. So, but yeah, patience. And boys,
Patience.
it's
And
getting to
we're
that
going to keep
time.
preaching that at him too, Brandon. We're going to just tuck that money away for a couple of years and look at it. It sure
Yeah.
looks pretty when it's sitting there.
It's gonna feel
It
good.
does. When it's
And when people
cash
say,
flow.
"How'd you do it? How'd you save 50 grand? How do you save 70 grand?" Okay, patience, right? It's real.
Watch this podcast.
Watched it.
Yes.
I watched RDNA on episode 8.
Yep.
All right,
Yeah,
boys.
man.
Listen,
Let's
it's
close it out.
about
We
that
got,
time for me too.
yes, we're going to do it again next week.
Yes.
But thanks,
Hmm.
guys. I appreciate you listening to me. I know I got a lot to say, but that's from
Okay.
all the years I've been on this earth, and I just
All
want to
right.
share.
Guys, this is only
Uh,
episode 8. Just wait till
Yeah.
episode 100. It's going to be 10 times more than this. But
Yep.
I'll
and
leave
we're
it
going to
with
bring a
this.
lot of light to a lot of people, man. That's the goal. All right.
We're only going to get better at it. So, David, thank
All
you.
right.
Philip, thank you. And everyone listening, have a good day and a better tomorrow.